Hello, my name is Jim Bellacera, and I want to welcome you to Within the Millionaire Mind. Today's lesson is going to be on taking the lead and changing the view. You know, people are always looking for someone to follow, someone that they can trust, that's earned their respect by doing what they say when they say they're going to do it. Along with their character, it makes someone worth being followed. With the right character and having integrity provides proper leadership, which creates the difference between mediocrity and greatness. Leadership is earned. It's not a birthright. Leaders are a living example by doing what puts you in the forefront because you naturally do what's right. Leaders pursue their goals regardless of the peaks and valleys because they're willing to fight for what they believe in, no matter what's going on, no matter what's going right, no matter what's going wrong. Leaders know, regardless of how long it takes, with patience and commitment, in the end, you'll come out victorious. It takes following through with your commitments because your word dictates your actions. Not because it was easy, but because you said you would. You see, nothing great ever came easy. And this quote that I'm going to share with you right now is absolutely the most powerful quote that one could say. Commitment means staying loyal to what you said you were going to do long after the mood you said it in has left you. Which means you're still fighting for the fight, even when nobody else around you is doing it with you, or no matter what is happening in your life. A real leader understands a rising tide raises all ships. A leader acknowledges the success of others to create belief for the team. Leader encourages healthy competition. There should not be an attitude of, well, they won, therefore we lose, or the other way around. A leader acknowledges a job well done, regardless of the outcome. The success of others becomes the footprints for others to follow through servant leadership. In other words, tell me and I'll listen, but show me and I will follow. Leadership requires putting aside your pride and leaving no room for ego. Humility is key. If you have to tell people how great you are, ladies and gentlemen, then you are not. Sometimes humble pie can be the breakfast of champions. When you get there, remember where you came from. I want to tell a story right here because being in the situation that I've been in for years, I've had a chance to meet people who've done tremendous things with their lives and chose later on down the road to forget where they came from and expect people to just bow before them and to just honor them. And the way that they would talk to these people who follow them, it was as if they had never walked in their shoes. It's as if they forgot where they came from. And I believe that eating humble pie sometimes is the most important thing that can happen in our lives, because if we don't remember where we came from and we forget, sometimes we forget how to treat people and how to help them overcome where they're at. And I got to tell you a story. And this was a really tough story because, you know, the company that I had, we would put on events. And there was a period in time where this one couple had achieved a great deal of success. They were in a 7-figure situation, and we wanted to highlight them for the event. And so we did. Well, there was another couple that I wanted to speak on stage. Now, there was a bunch of different people that were speaking, but in particular, I wanted this other couple to share their story because I wanted people to understand what these folks had gone through. Although they had already been highlighted in the past and, you know, they'd already gotten the accolades and so forth, I just felt that it would be really helpful for the audience to hear their struggle. So I invited them to go up on stage and share their story. And this was after this other couple had been given all the accolades and everything of their success. And by the time they were finished sharing their story, there wasn't a dry eye in the house. And so I went up after they were done speaking, and I introduced the next speaker for that seminar. And when I came back to my chair, which was sitting right next to a couple that was really being the highlight of the weekend, the husband leans back in his chair and he says to me, "Don't you ever do that again." Well, his wife leans over to me and said, and tears were just flowing down her face, and she says, "Jim, just don't listen to him." And my point in all of this was, this guy, his ego was so inflated. He was so out there that he wanted all eyes on him. He wanted everybody to think about him and not think about anybody else. Leadership is not just about what you did. Leadership is being an example and humility and not having to tell people how great you are because they recognize that on their own based on your success, right? Taking your eyes off yourself by lifting others up with praise and recognition will earn you the loyalty of your team. On the flip side, as a leader, you must be willing to tell people what they need to hear to help them grow, which is not necessarily what they want to hear. It's called velvet hammer. It means you're sharing criticism and helping critique them with love in your heart so that they can understand what they did wrong so they can be better. The difference between a leader and a dictator is humility. Leaders are willing to accept all responsibility but never take all the credit. Like the saying, a captain goes down with the ship. Well, if something goes wrong, guess what, ladies and gentlemen? Maybe even if it's not 100% the leader's fault, by taking ownership of it and allowing your team to see that you took the responsibility for something that went wrong shows another level of respect for you. At the same time, when things are going great, give accolades to those who helped make that happen. Don't sit there and puff up your chest and say how great you are. Look what I did. Where did the humility go? Where did the respect for others go? A leader comes to the realization that being well respected is more beneficial than being well liked. The moment you've earned respect of others is the moment you've made a positive impact on another person's life. And rather than just telling people whatever they want to hear because it's easier, you tell them what they need to hear. Respect is for those who deserve it, not for those who demand it. Someone who's honest and has integrity is a blessing. So be that person. Be a blessing to others. Edification of those you lead as well as those you follow is a trait of a true leader. I can't imagine when you know that there's somebody else out there that may be a bigger leader and not saying something of edification about that other person. But because their ego needs to be fed so much, they can't handle the idea of edifying another leader. Ladies and gentlemen, there is no one leader in this world. The more leaders that we can rise up, the better off we'll be as a nation and as a world, as a team, as a family. The bottom line is, be willing to be the one who edifies others no matter what. Don't assume all eyes have to be on you all the time. Be that blessing to others. And as a leader, don't abuse your position by taking advantage of it to use others to accomplish your personal selfish goals. The last thing that people need is yet another boss in their life. Leaders are dreamers. They're visionaries, willing to share their vision with others and include others in their vision. Leaders can see far beyond where they are and are able to empower others to stretch far beyond what they alone can see. Martin Luther said, "I have a dream." But along the way, he was empowering other people with his vision and his dream. And long after he was gone, his dream continued on. And because of the people that he empowered and transferred his vision over to. And today his name will forever be in the books of history because he was a man of vision and a man that had a dream. And he was able to rise other people up to continue and carry the torch that he started. Great leaders make decisions based on solid principles and not their emotions. It's easy to be considered a leader when the tide's rising with you, but the moment the tide turns against you, you cannot crumble under pressure. Leaders have to be steadfast and able to give and take advice at critical moments, giving confidence and assurance that as a team, you can turn things around. The reason I picked this picture with this, the quarterback, he was a team captain, he's quarterback. He has to make decisions, literally split-second decisions on the fly. His team has to follow his directions. They have to trust him when he's out there. At the same time, once he's got that ball in his hand, what's he doing? He's looking for the person he's going to throw it to. And if he can't see them, and he only has split seconds to find them down the field, he has to look for somebody else to throw the ball to. And if he can't find them, then he has to make another split-second decision. Do I go to my left? Do I go to my right? Am I protected if I go to my right? Am I protected if I go to my left? And no matter what decision he has to make everything happen simultaneously in seconds. I share this with you because when you think about a businessman or woman and the decisions they have to make, they're not in split seconds decisions that they have to make. They have time to think about it, absorb it, ask for support and advice. And yet, some people won't even take in critiquing of other people because they want to be right. Ladies and gentlemen, we have to be able to make decisions and accept critiquing and criticism so that we can make better decisions when we have to under pressure. I want you to think about a football team. Every football team has to have a coach. And every coach already had to have the experience in order to be able to lead their team and to inspire the team captain, to help every one of them make the right decisions when they're out there on the field. I have to ask you a question. Are you somebody that is leading by example? Are you somebody that's willing to stay steadfast even when the tide is going against you? Are you somebody that's willing to take the advice of others that have walked the walk before you? Can you give the confidence that your team needs to have in order for them to move forward? Or are you somebody that makes decisions based on emotions? How you feel at the moment? What I'm sharing with you is rather important because you got to understand if you want to step up to the plate and be a leader, then you have to make your decisions based on solid principles, not just your emotions alone. Great leaders are great students. It's important to stay up on your professional skills as well as your people skills. Probably one of the greatest tools in leadership is being able to understand and relate to everyone's social styles. One of the lessons I taught is misunderstood social behaviors. You see, everybody looks at life differently through their own window, and there's different personalities, and the most recognized personalities is the analytical, amiable, expressive, and driver. When you can understand how people think, you can better help them understand the message that you want to relay to them and help them even understand some of the things that they're doing right and some of the things that they're doing wrong from a perspective that they understand. If you haven't gone through the lesson called Misunderstood Social Behaviors, which is also personality training, I highly recommend that you go back through that or go to it and go through the lesson so that you can understand these different personalities so you will be better prepared to help lead your immediate team members, whether it's in your office, whether it's a sales force that you're managing or a direct selling group that you're ahead of, whatever it is that you're doing. There's a saying, leaders are readers and readers are leaders. There's so many incredible books on sharpening your leadership skills as well as relating to others and improving your current relationships. Listening to powerful inspiring talks allows you to transfer what you actually heard and felt to others on your team. It's not hard to recognize a great leader when they're constantly building up their team. When I brought in this image here, it says, not all readers are leaders, but all leaders are readers. It's from Harry Truman. You know, it's interesting. It's very true. There's a lot of people who enjoy reading. They get a lot out of reading. They apply it in their life and in their business. Some people just are really good readers. They just read to read. But every leader should be a reader, because you never stop learning. You never stop growing. You never stop getting better. Building others up empowers them to become more than what they see in themselves. People will aspire to be what others say they can become, and your team will want to live up to that as well. As I said, people will aspire to be what others say they can become. In leadership, there are several things that you do simultaneously. You help people become better leaders. You help them have purpose. You inspire. You teach heart and passion. You teach by example. And you help give belief. In the movie Rudy, or Any Given Sunday, or Facing the Giants, or Invictus, or Bagger Vance, or We Are Marshals, or Miracle, or Rocky, or Braveheart, each one of them have a message inside their movie. Movies are made to inspire, encourage, help people rise up from the pit of hell, to understand that, you know what, you can be whatever you want to be. It's your decision. I love movies like Rudy and Braveheart and so on and so forth. I love these movies because they continue to inspire me to keep moving forward. In the movie Miracle on Ice, it was a U.S. hockey team coach. His name was Herb Brooks. He put together a team of amateurs to play against the world's elite hockey players. And just prior to the semifinals against the Russians, he had to speak to his team to encourage them in the locker room. His message was about great moments are born from great opportunity. When you listen to his message, I promise you, the hair on the back of your neck will stand up. That you, when he was done, you would believe that if you were one of them team members, that you could do it, that you could win. In the movie We Are Marshall, it's about a coach from a football team that delivers a speech honoring the memory of the prior team that had been killed in an airplane crash. And the theme was, how do you pick it up when all seems lost? And he says, this is an opportunity for you to rise from the ashes and grab the glory. He was talking about how these team members could make those who lost their life proud, that they were watching them from the heavens, giving these young men the belief, in spite of the fact that they don't appear to have everything they need, but when you can deliver a message that resonates all the way into their heart, that they are champions and that they need to win this battle on behalf of the men that lost their life, you know, just about anything can happen. Invictus. In overtime in South Africa, a rugby team captain, in that 40-second speech that he makes to his teammates, he says, look into my eyes. He goes, this is it. We have 7 minutes left. This is it. Do it for your country. It was like it didn't matter what happened next, because that speech at that moment in time was what those players needed to hear in order for them to win. And what about Any Given Sunday? Inch by inch. Here's an aging football coach that takes a look at himself and asks his team to do the same. In front of his entire team, he lets them all know that he had made a lot of mistakes in his life. And then he went on to talk about how every inch counts when they're out there on that field. And at the end, when you add up all the inches that you are able to take ownership of, that it can lead to victory. And when you look at your life and you think about how everything you do in your life, inch by inch, anything's a cinch. That if we could just fight for what we want in just little inches, when you're done and you look backwards, you realize that you didn't have this massive, overwhelming success in a day's time, but over time, you inched forward and eventually you win. Facing the Giants. Coach Taylor urges his team to give their best for the game. Don't ever give up before you started. There's a lot more inside of you than you might believe. You've got to see this movie. And if nothing more, just go listen to the speech that he's giving this gentleman as he does the death crawl. How he keeps this kid going inch by inch with 160-pound young man on his back. And he was able to crawl the entire length of the football field without ever having his knees touch the ground. If he had seen the distance with his own eyes and didn't have a coach telling him he could do it, he would have given up. His knees would have hit the ground, and who knows how far he would have gone. But because he had a coach by his side, a leader, someone telling him, you can do it, you can do it, you can do it, you can do it. Don't stop. You can do it. He kept doing the death crawl. And eventually he made it all the way to the end zone before he collapsed. People need leadership. People need someone like you to help them overcome whatever adversity is going on in their life. The movie Rudy. I have to tell you, I've seen this movie no less than probably 15, 16, 17 times. I was able to have the real Rudy, his name's Daniel actually, speak at my launch for Successful Thinkers Network because his movie inspired me. And then when he actually came and spoke for me many years back, it was the year after the movie came out, so it's a long time ago. I was so inspired. I said to myself, one day I want to have him speak for me at something that I do. When you get to this point in the movie and the gentleman's talking about not giving up, not quitting, because Rudy was ready to give up after 2 years at Notre Dame and fighting the fight to be there, earn the right to be there. He just was done. He didn't think he would ever be able to even dress to be on the field. One more game left before he would never ever be able to dress up again and be on the field, let alone play a game. Because it's one thing to be a football player on their team, but they only allow so many people to suit up. And then, of course, even if you suit up, that doesn't mean you're going to play in a game. And he had so much heart, so much passion, so much drive, so much determination. He was willing to do whatever it took, and he was ready to quit. I don't want to take away from the inspiring talk. I want to encourage you to go and actually watch it. You can go to YouTube and just type in the speech, and you'll see what I'm talking about. We all need someone in our life that's going to encourage us, someone that's going to help us right there with our weakest moment so that we don't give up. The movie Braveheart, William Wallace. This is a real movie about a real experience when William Wallace exhorts his people to fight for their freedom and not live one further day in slavery. It was such an amazing speech. I remember years ago, and after the movie came out, somebody actually walked on stage. The gentleman was a major leader in the company I was with, and he had his face painted blue stripes like William Wallace did, and he gave his speech that day. And without seeing the movie, you wouldn't really have the respect for his talk. But those people who did see the movie were really inspired by his talk, because we're in slavery of a job, of a life of mediocrity, of not able to see our dreams come to fruition because we're not willing to fight for them. We're not willing to lay down our swords and die for them. It's so apropos when you think about how if you could just be willing to fight to the end for your dreams and goals, to be that example to the people around you and your family, your children. Thank goodness for YouTube, because you can always go to YouTube and type in, like you can type in Braveheart and type in the speech, the real speech or something like that, and you'll find it and you'll be able to play it back. But each one of these movies, I've seen them, and I've seen them multiple times because I enjoy getting that emotion built back up inside of me so that I want to fight another day. I want to continue to fight the fight towards my dream. Ladies and gentlemen, it's got to hurt so bad that you will not be denied. People will always go the extra mile for someone who believes in them. As a leader, your goal is to empower each person to become self-sufficient, creating a stronger group as well as a stronger individual. The best way to achieve what you want is to help others achieve what they want. The bottom line is a leader leads by example. They never ask someone to do what they themselves are not willing to do. Remember, one can't teach what they don't know, and they can't lead where they've never been. Now I want you to take a little bit of time, and I want you to write down some of the opportunities you've had to lead. And after going through this lesson, I want you to think, what could you have done to do a better job as a leader in the environment you were in? Maybe you have never had a chance to lead. So what aspect of being a leader inspires you? It's critical that you recognize the importance of team spirit and how important it is to continually reinforce it. And each individual is a crucial part of the whole, contributing to the success of the team. You never look at one person as the reason a team wins. You look at each person as a critical part or a piece of the puzzle to ensure that the whole team succeeds. If you want to move mountains, you need a team. Sometimes we have to be reminded there is no I in team. Together, everyone achieves more. Remember that. Team represents together, everyone achieves more. What an amazing thought. If we can work together as a team, we will achieve more. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for going through this with me. I believe as a leader, you take ownership, you help other people, you give respect and edify others, lift them up, inspire them to be all they can be. You will be all you can be. Thank you and God bless.